What's good, everybody? How are you? Hope you're enjoying your Tuesday. It is EC Radio time. We are live on all Disruption Network social media platforms. You can follow along on Twitch, YouTube, Facebook, all those, Periscope, Twitter. There's so many Twitter. There's so many different names. I can't even keep up with them. There's so many of them. But you can follow Disruption Network on every single one of them. Also, I got to give a shout out to everybody, man. And thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. Thank you to everybody that's been voting for Disruption Network in the Local Music Monday, for the live streaming category, for the Sammys. We're up for a Syracuse Area Music Award, and you can continue to vote. We made it to the Final Four. It was announced today. I'm super pumped. Thank you, everybody out there. I love you guys. Thank you for all your support. Now it's time to put on the full court press, though, people. Go to SyracuseAreaMusic.com and vote. Disruption Network, Local Music Monday, live streaming event category. And big ups to my friend Gary Johnson, who also made it in the artist category. He made it to the Final Four, and just a lot of great nominations going on out there. And thank you to the Syracuse area music people out there, and everybody's doing great. So I can't wait. Hopefully, keep voting. Please, 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 and thank you. Shout out to our sponsors, EJA Moving Services. When the professional movers, when you're ready to move and relocate, hit up Eddie and his crew at 315-335-0516, EJAmoving.com. Also, a shout out to my attorney, Dave Longaretta, who's been keeping me out of trouble since like the early 90s. Thank you, Dave, for all that you do for me. Give him a call today if you need legal advice at 315-735-6162. Big ups to Utica Coffee, drinking the Italian Rose, getting in touch with my Guinea roots today. It's delicious. I love you, Utica Coffee. Thank you for all that you do and all your support here at Disruption Network. You can find them online at wakethehellup.com. And also big ups to my good friends over at Saranac, too. Keep us hydrated around here each and every day. Joining me today, my old friend, bring your tits back, my good friend Peter Prince in the house with me today, man. How are you, Peter? It's good to see you.
Oh, all is well. Great to see you, too.
I've been trying to think of like the first time I saw Moon Boot Lover. I was thinking all day today, trying to rack my brain on when was the first time I saw you guys. I want to say it was like 1995 or 6 at like Hungry Chuck's in Syracuse.
Oh, yeah.
It's going back, man.
That could have been it. That could have been it. Well, I mean, we came to your venue many times, so, but boy, the first time, that probably could be a safe bet.
How old were you around that time? Like, how old were you when you first started Moon Boot Lover?
Sure, it's my early 20s, maybe 20, 23, 22, 23.
Was that your first band?
Straight out of Buff State College. I graduated Buff State College, and then Alan Evans and I moved to the city, New York City, and lived in Brooklyn for a year. So that was 93. We date ourselves.
Man, you're still a kid, too, moving to the big city like that. I'm sure you had to face a lot of struggles.
Oh, yeah. I was working at Bruno Ravioli on the west side, Manhattan. So I take the train in every day, and it was actually through my gracious cousins that hooked me up with the gig there. That they own the business, and they'd send me home with a jar of sauce and a box of ravioli every night. So we would feast. We ate a lot of ravioli that year.
What was your job? Were you just like a waiter or a busboy?
Retail, just over the counter. It was just a storefront. And then they bring in the ravioli. We had to sweat. They would be sweating, so moisture. So we dip them in cornmeal and do our gig. But yeah, it was a retail over the counter gig for the year. But I was sitting at the counter, and that's where I came up with the name Moon Boot Lover. I was, sitting with no customers in the store at the time, or just making a list, and I was like, I was trying to incorporate something that I could do some artwork to that would be like a superhero motif, and that was the one.
Was that your first obsession? I should say was comic books. Was that your first obsession?
Yeah, as you can see, I have. I've been a big fan for years. Long before I picked up the guitar or any instrument, I was, had my head in comic books. Yeah.
You got some vintage
reading those
stuff back there?
storylines. What's that?
You got vintage stuff back there?
Oh yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
got a little collection. I can tuck away some of my gems. It's funny, John Topper. Over the years, we've realized that we're both, comic book dudes. So we occasionally would drop a line to each other, like, "Oh, look at this." I'm a big Conan fan.
Yep.
So actually, that Conan the Barbarian was one of the first comic books that a friend gave me, the third edition, and so I just over the years started, there's 275 uh, editions of that Marvel Conan the Barbarian. So over the years, I started chipping away at it, and finally made got them all together. So
Huh.
once I did that, it was like ding. I started collecting the putting together the collections of comic books that I was a fan of.
Wow, that's cool. What else do you collect
Yeah.
besides comic books?
Well, guitars, of course.
Yeah, right. Duh.
Duh. That's been kind of, well, you can't turn it. Sometimes you just can't turn it down. You see something and you fall in love with it, and you obsess over it until you get it. Everyone's got their thing. And the comic books and guitars, musical instruments. If I see something, I'd like to go to flea markets and antique places, and I'll pick up. If it's old and it's kind of got a little patina going on, more than likely it's coming home with me.
Does the wife welcome it, or is she like, "Oh man, you're bringing more crap home"?
Well, now years have gone by. I think, she's probably had her fill of it. But if you arrange it just right, it looks like a collection, not a pile of junk. That's the mistake that people make. You see these hoarder shows. They have to just put their hoarding into some sort of semblance, and then it's a collection. You're not hoarding anymore.
Good point.
My 2 bits through that. But yeah, some could consider it a little more than a collection.
Yeah, an obsession. Peter,
Yeah.
every time you buy something, just buy the wife a little extra something too, so it's really not that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Well, she plays guitar. She's a musician in her own right. So I walk that line.
There you go.
She'll dig this too. Mine.
She understands.
Yeah, yeah.
Hey man, I gotta tell you, the new single sounds great. You Make My Love Big, man. It sounds amazing. I love the drummer drives that song, but it's not so in your face. It's really held back a little bit. It holds the groove back. And the other thing I love about that song is the notes. It's more of the space in between the notes that makes that song instead of that groove of everything, man. What's your inspiration behind that whole tune?
Well, and thank you for saying that. Well, the lyric, "You Make My Love Big," that popped in my head years ago, but it never really was it was just kind of a line, and might have just spawned out of a joke at first, but over the years, I just lyrics would pop up as, oh, that would fit in there. So it was kind of a few years in the making, but you're right. Dave DeCenzo, uh, I had played it for him, and he was like, yeah, and he really helped me craft that and put in the kind of space that you're talking about. It was like, let's let that sit in its own pocket there.
Mm-hmm.
And he was, that's why we listed it, co-produced by Dave DeCenzo, because he brought that across the finish line with a lot of great ideas, and the whole orgasm section in the middle, you know, this throbbing thing, comes across. So he helped to really tailor that together. So it was definitely a team effort. And Tim was kind of in the, I was getting ready to, put it out, and then I thought, I never really, since I didn't work with Tim in the past and done the tours together, I was always kind of holding out. Oh, when something right comes along, that I'd reach out to him and see what he thought, and he was like, "Yeah, man." So he laid down, and that was kind of like in the last bit of the mix, and then it all came together. So I'm very pleased with it. It's fun. It's glad. I'm psyched to have something now. I mean, of course, been doing Moon Boot Lover for years, and I'm sure there'll be Moon Boot Lover recordings, and we've actually been playing that uh, uh, as a band. Reed Diefenbach and Mike Gruen, the trio. We were playing that song out, but it was just with COVID going on and being home. I had the track kind of worked out, so a lot of this transpired virtually. Literally virtually.
Yeah, you had to.
I actually sent a recorder to Tim with the song loaded into the recorder. At the time, when I reached out to him, he didn't have any kind of recording device handy. So I just packed up my big little portable digital recorder with the tune loaded in it, and he took passes at it, and that's how we came about it. So it was kind of cool. It was a different process, but it came together.
We should let everybody out there know that the Tim that you refer to is Tim Reynolds from the Dave Matthews Band.
Yes.
I want to say you and Tim have had a long relationship, right? Haven't you guys known each other for many years?
Yeah. Well, at the beginning of 2000, maybe 2001, I did a couple of tours with him. Basically, I would go out and open the show for him acoustically. He was playing acoustic. I would go out playing acoustically. Mm-hmm. And on occasion, he'd come out and join me, this type of thing. And yeah, we made a friendship. Him, Fluffy, you remember Fluffy?
Yeah, the tour manager.
His tour manager, yep. Right. And Tim, his, Jesus, spacing his name, his guitar tech. They were running around in a little group. And I was at the time, the first run, I actually jumped in the van with them. And then the second time I was like in my vehicle, we're just going, I'm following their van around town to town. It was fun. But yeah, ever since, striked up that friendship. And I'm glad that we're, continuing to. He laid down a few tracks. I have two other that he has laid down guitar for. So I'm actually in the process of that now, putting together, and hopefully I get them. It's the singles right now. Putting out. I don't really have a full length album that I'm prepared to. I could, but it's just weeding through the mixes and everything that I've been putting together. That I just feel like, yeah, why not just put these singles out?
But do you feel like it's worth it to put out a full album these days, especially with the way technology is going and the way bands are releasing material? It's only singles and videos nowadays. No one's really putting out a full length anymore.
Right. Well, you let that single go out and then have its life instead of this whole full length album where there might be some real gems in there that kind of get looked over, and then it's all one in that one shot. Mm-hmm. And you're right. It's all streaming platforms nowadays. Everyone's making pennies on the dollar type of thing. So yeah, why not just have these kind of just stream it out? Let it'll trickle down.
Was it tough for you?
Did I say trickle down? Oh no!
Was it tough for you to keep up with technology?
Or should I say, yeah, this whole thing, you can't really even keep up with it. Once you get used to the one format, it's changing to the next. So
good point.
It took me years to actually, now that I've just to record myself, for years I was like, I'd go into studios and be hanging over the engineer, describing this particular horn-like quality in my guitar. Could we EQ that? You know, like, so I just finally bit the bullet, got Pro Tools together. I basically work out of the box, you know, out of my laptop and Pro Tools. And man, now it's just been like throwing together material, and whenever I get an idea, boom, it's there, and it's universal. No, it's took many years, but I'm finally feeling good. Like this latest, "You Make My Love Big," you know, I recorded, mixed, you know, that was all my doing. So it was a little achievement on my end.
Nice.
That it wasn't through another studio. That was right out of the basement.
That song makes me get loose in the shoulder bone. Yeah. Ooh.
Let's see.
Have you been feeling inspired since we've been on this Corona coaster? Have you been writing more?
Yeah, I mean, I try to write every day.
Mm-hmm.
At my bedside, I've been writing for years, and as far as like just making entries, and I've gotten up to like maybe over 200 pages, full pages. It's all in rhyme. So to me, um, they're like songs in the making. You know, the hard part is always that rhyming element. Then you know, putting music to it is always just the next step. But it's always getting those lines that have a rhyme sense. So I'm really psyched about you know, putting that. It's taken me years to fill these books, but you know, some people would say, uh, to me, it's not like you know, free association, or you know, where you just dear diary type of entries. But the fact that they are in rhyme, I guess they could be considered poetry. But to me, I got my kind of songwriter hat on with these, that I kind of envision when I'm penning them down that they are going to make it into a song, you know.
So you're a lyric first guy over the music, or does it doesn't matter?
It did. I don't know when it's going to strike.
Yeah.
I've had it happen in every different way. It's sometimes, well, the you know, the line "You Make My Love Bit," like for this latest single, yeah, I had that line, but then the bass line was the secondary that came in, and then all the other lyrics followed. Once I had that boom 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 boom, you know, that was the vehicle for me to write. So there, it kind of comes. I might get a good idea with a lyric, or I get a good riff idea, and then that snowballs. Then you know, but I don't know how. I can never tell how it's going to happen. Some things just I sit down and I feel like I've had a few tunes that I've written that I didn't even feel like you know, I I didn't plan on writing it. It was one of the I was just being a conduit, you know. I always associate it with being like, you know, these when they say, you know, doctor in practice or whatever, and you're always, you know, you know, getting ready for that moment. And that's why I feel like those times, those moments happen. It was just all the practice and everything. Then I was the vehicle for it, you know. But I couldn't say that at that moment. I didn't really. It just kind of, some of it wrote itself, you know.
It's crazy, and like how some songs can write themselves in like a matter of minutes, and then you got other ones that will take you decades to work on, and all of a sudden you got something. It's crazy.
Yeah,
funny how
that's what it is, right?
The other thing I want to talk about.
Yeah, you have all these little carcasses of songs laying around, you know, that are waiting to be taken over the finish line, you know.
There you go. But, you write a comic book about it. All these unfinished songs that are laying around. It'd be like the song zombies or some shit like that. You know, you wake them up and I don't know. Right. There's your comic book right there, Peter.
The Don Quixote slashing songs.
What's your collaboration just like? Because you mentioned you had Tim Reynolds on your last single. Is it you got a big pond to fish out of as far as musicians go? Do you just like cast a line out there and be like, see who's going to bite on the hook, or do you just kind of pick up the phone? I mean, what's that process like? Like such and such is going to sound good on this part.
Yeah, if I hear something as, oh, I know who sound good on this, that's usually how it transpires. Um, there's the whole Earth Driver family down in New York City. There's a whole pool of people there that, Jeremiah Jose on bass, Alex Alexander on drums. These are people, they're all just, everybody is looking to chip in. It's never been an issue. Reach out, and generally everybody is always game. I just had Percy Hill just got in touch with me. They're releasing a single, and they threw it by me to do some backup vocal, which I've done in the past for them. So that's the New England, New Hampshire connection. I'm in New Hampshire, so.
Man, Percy Hill, that rings a bell, right? That brings up a lot of great memories. Such a great music scene back in the early, like, third wave of the jam band scene, such as Moon Boot Lover, Percy Hill, Schleho, Ominous Sea Pods, Mo, of course. Yoke was another great band. And I feel like you guys were all just sharing the stage with each other back then. It was a lot of open brotherhood back then.
Yep. Well, I'll never forget the time I first met, the Ominous Sea Pods, and most of the guys from Mo. I had met Jim from Buffalo, and of course I went to school in Buffalo, and Mo was kicking around, playing Broadway Joes and stuff. But we all got invited to a party in Brattleboro, Vermont, and it was a house party, and we played everyone. We were just switching sets: Moon Boot, Ominous Sea Pods, Mo, Moon Boot. In this guy Trout, they called him Trout, in his living room, and it was like one of those moments, like, wow, it was nuts. It was great. It was a great time, just like kick around, no major thing at all, just set up, and everybody sounded fantastic too. I remember hearing Max's guitar playing for the first time. He was playing through like a boogie, a mezzo boogie with his Strat, and his tone was just like, whoa, memorable. Like, I never forgot it.
Did that party influence that Rock the Vote tour that you guys all did?
Well, I mean, it certainly was. We were familiar with each other. That had Yoke on it. Yep. That had Yoke as well. So that was kind of like, I mean, at that point, Mo really was like at the forefront of that. They were really rising, and we were all, kind of hanging on, jump on their coattail, play, but they were the headliner every night, Mm-hmm. But yeah, probably that was that upstate New York connection that we all made.
Yeah, for sure. What I liked about that too is there was never any dead air. You guys would all just collaborate and morph sets into each other, and that was the first time I had ever seen anything like that. When all the bands just get on stage together and collaborate, and there was never any dead air. It just went from one band to another to another, then Mo, of course, and very great nights. A lot of cool moments there for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Isn't it crazy how fast time goes by, Peter? Like, here we are, like 15 years ago, we're talking about sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
Oh, I know.
And now here we are. It's just like, crazy. We lost weight and we're exercising now, and which was the conversation we had before we started. And
Right. Crazy. Well, yeah, we got to start maintaining, this. That's the whole thing.
Maintain that health.
We were definitely running hard for many years, so yeah, that'll catch up.
Yeah, it will, man. I'll tell you, one of my
I was just watching a Tina Turner live in Rio, 1988. And it's like all the guys in the band are sporting mullets, and but to me, it's like I'm thinking 1988. It's like I remember all Actually, 1988, I was still living in Saratoga, and maybe the year before that, um, SPAC, the
Of course.
Performing Arts Center. I worked as a bellhop for a season um, at the Ramada in town, and all of the acts, would come before and after the show to check in and everything. So I was like checking in, Ray Charles and Cheap Trick and uh, you know Neil Young, Crosby, Stills and Nash. There it was just like this revolving door, and it was like I remember it like it was yesterday. It's funny. Yeah, time flies.
Was it hard for you not to fanboy on these guys because you had to maintain that level of professionalism on job?
Yeah, it was, and there were, for the most part, everyone was always really gracious. They kicked me a case of beer, just for bringing in their suitcases or whatever it be. Actually, my I brought in Ray Charles and his group, and he had the guy, his guy helping him to walk in, and he totally jammed his knee into the coffee table.
Oh,
And I was like, this kid, I don't know, 17, 18, I was just like, oh no, like,
oh my
I
God,
should have told him.
Ray! You want to help him out at that point in time, right?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But, and one of my hero, Christopher Parkening, this, classical guitarist, I had one of his albums that my mother had given me when I was young. And so he was the kind of guy, like, unassuming, you would never recognize him off the street. He's just one of those kind of guys. But, he had his guitar in hand, and I had only been playing guitar for a couple of years, but that was one of those I was like, oh my God, Christopher Parkening. And I went up to him with a napkin, and he, I was like, I didn't make a habit of it, but if I could get your autograph. And he was like, oh, he grabs his briefcase and he opens up and says, hold on a second.
You got the glossy. He's gonna show us the glossy.
I have the picture right here
Awesome.
with his white. You see that with his white turtleneck? It's probably shimmering the light.
No,
There
that's
it is.
great. I can see that.
Yeah, yeah. With this full glossy picture. It was. I'm sure a lot of people weren't going up to him like, oh,
Yeah.
Christopher Parkening, I love your classical guitar playing. Maybe they were, but at the time, he just, like I said, he wasn't like the rock stars that were prancing around, Steven Tyler in
He was
the
prepared
elevator.
for it though. He was. He had
Oh
his
yeah,
glossy
it was
sitting in
so
the trunk.
funny.
He
I
was
ripped
ready.
that out. Yeah, he was like, oh no, put that away. Yeah.
On this latest single, two of yours, "You Make My Love Big," you guys should all check it out. It's the order of the day. Everybody who's watching this podcast right now should go out there and listen to his new single. It's awesome. But I can't help notice the influence of the Temptations in that song. Were you a big David Ruffing fan? Was the Temptations your band back in the day?
Well, OJ's,
The OJ's?
uh, any of that. I mean, any of that early soul is just I love it. But I'm a huge OJ fan.
Mm-hmm.
Temptations. Yeah, yeah. Any of the early soul, Marvin Gaye, just you know, and it's just the funk music. Of the day. Chambers Brothers, whatever. I mean, I would go down the list, but at the Isley Brothers. So, yeah, I would say even there's some Isley in there too.
Yeah, for sure. Who was the first band you were ever obsessed with?
Well, I mean, I don't know how we could not talk about Kiss.
There you go.
Because that was just kind of like one of those almost cult type things. They had such a mystique about them. And my older cousin, Steve, when I'd stay when I was young, I'd go to their house if I stayed over, and he had the posters, life size posters of them all over. So there was definitely that. And you can see in Moon Boot Lover, the big boot, they had the big heel, the theatrics of that stuff, that was um, definitely one of those obsessions.
They had that
I think
superhero
even
vibe.
I used to draw the Destroyer album, like them in individual poses, Gene Simmons, and my sister would sign it like she was Gene Simmons, and friends at school were like, "Oh, I want one," just rifling those off. And I actually got to meet Ken Kelly, who did all that. I go to the Boston Comic Con every year, and sometimes Ken shows up, and he did the original Destroyer album. He actually had the first mock-up uh, of the album, which was uh, it wasn't as colorful and was a little darker, just a little more menacing looking.
Huh.
And apparently, Casablanca said, "Can you do this? Lighten it up a little bit with this thing." And he was like, "Let me know." He's like, I didn't do anything different. I just changed the background. The figures themselves basically stayed the same, But he's from that Frank Frazetta school. I mean, we talk about geeking out. Those are my heroes in the art world. Frank Frazetta, you know, Boris, the that sci-fi stuff. My parents were both art teachers, so
Oh, cool.
that was the early, before music. I didn't. It was more art, visual art, growing up than actual music.
Wow, no kidding. Did you go see Kiss when you were younger? Was that a band you used to go see live?
No, I didn't.
No.
I never got to see him. I didn't. It was like I love Kiss. I love that Destroyer album,
Mm-hmm.
but it was like that was that time period, what fifth and sixth grade, where we were all geeking out on them. But it wasn't like then I started, listening to all sorts of stuff, and that's when you start listening to the soul and funk stuff, and
Yeah.
you know. I mean, I love those. I love the old Scorpions, and you know.
So you did get into a little bit of like hairband or metal or any of that growing up, did you?
Oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
oh yeah. Iron
Iron
Maiden,
Maiden.
and Judas Priest, sure.
Yeah.
I mean, that's great stuff. It's still, and if I come down in the back over on this side of the base, is kind of like a little gym. And when I come down to work out, that's the stuff I throw on.
Yeah,
You
me
know,
too.
I need a little that driving.
Mm-hmm.
I really had to black out. I'll throw blackout on, or yeah, Number of the Beast.
You ever
To
think
get
about
my reps in.
there you go. You ever think about covering any of that?
Well, we have done like God of Thunder, and
Have you?
we have done some Kiss. But you're right. I actually more recently in COVID, I was like, why don't we do Blackout? Or, it's just great driving stuff,
Yeah.
But right now, it's like I have not gigged of well, just this past Valentine's Day was official that I haven't played a live gig in a year,
Oof.
and that's the first time in 35 years that I have gone this long without playing a single gig.
Yeah.
There has been gigs to play, and people have reached out. Uh, I don't know. I just after all these years of playing and touring and everything, I don't know. I guess I've welcomed a little bit of this downtime,
Mm-hmm.
and not. It's been nice to kind of step back and kind of reassess what I'm up to, and what the future is going to look like as far as playing out. And I have no desire to be in crowds at the moment. I'm sure a lot of people are. I mean, although you see it on the news, so people really dying to be, you know, cheek to cheek, but I'm not there at the moment, you know.
I'm with you. Yeah, I'm definitely with you. Is there anything that you'd like to see stick around after COVID's done?
Well, I might continue to wear a mask. I don't know.
You should get the moon boot mask, man. I can see it.
I don't know. I mean, I guess. I mean, I'm psyched that more people might be washing their hands a little more. You know, I don't know. But this has been hard. It's hard to, you know, the whole entertainment industry in itself. And it's funny because it's just, well, it's not funny. It's just, you see, artists aren't getting paid for much of anything anymore. You know, everyone's clamoring, oh, I miss music. But, you know, as far as a local thing, it's rough. You know, it's not there. And there's programs for a lot of different people, but, and I know there are for musicians, but it's, you know, speaking for myself, that kind of weekend, even if it's just the weekend stuff, that was income, you know, that was that extra bit. I mean, I've been teaching guitar now, and those are picking up. It kind of really died off, but you know, people are starting to kind of come back around to that. So
I'm sure the family appreciates you having you around a lot more, right? Throughout all this.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely great. My son is at a freshman year of UNH, so I'm around more. But now he's gone, and they actually, you know, he's living in his dorm. They just had a more outbreak happening. Recent numbers have gone up, so they've gone totally virtual. So it's like we're shelling out tons of money for him to be living in this tiny cubicle. It's madness.
Yeah, it is
stuff. It's like I just assume you come home and not be paying for dorm life if he was going to just be sitting. You know, they're not. It's not like socializing is being encouraged, and they're all wearing masks. You know, right now it doesn't make much sense, but being that he's virtual, that he could be doing this all at home, and we might maybe even be saving some money. It is what it is. I'm glad he's doing it. He needs to do it, but
why? He's in college already, huh? That went by fast, huh?
Yeah, I sure did.
What about teaching for you? Are you teaching on a virtual level? Or are you teaching one-on-one, like in person? Or doing both?
I've been virtual, but ironically today I got a phone call to start going into the shop. There's an opening, and I was like, I kind of on the fence about it, but it would be, yeah, they're ready to jump up the hours and everything. So yeah, I'm going to be going back in. Some of the rooms are really small, but one of the rooms that I guess I'm going to be able to use is, you know, there's that 6 feet they can accommodate. So I'm going to start going back in. Yeah.
Right on, man. Get you out of the house a little bit, though, too. You know, you get a little stir crazy sitting in the house all day long. Yeah. I know I do.
And it's not easy. It's when it comes to guitar, any instrument, just, you know, from my experience, is that getting together with students, it's, you know, we go over a lesson, but it's always that kind of interaction of kind of jamming, you know, when we talk about something, but then we duet, you know, together, and there's a lot of aha moments that happen in those moments of jamming that have been kind of missing, you know, and especially when you get with a beginner where, you're trying to explain. I can't get your finger. Can you see what I'm doing? You see, an 8-year-old is like, you
Yeah.
can't put the finger on, like when you're together, you put your finger on it and say, here it is. And they make that connection. But I miss jamming with them. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm sure, man.
Miss jamming, period.
I was just gonna say, I'm sure you miss jamming. Period. You have recording capabilities at your home?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So
Yep, got a little
yeah, you're
home
recording all the
setup.
time.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. I got myself a nice little subwoofer, and yeah, it's like I said, it's Pro Tools, and I'm sure I'm using maybe 13% of what Pro Tools can offer, but it allows me to do, was record, edit,
The
loop,
basics.
splice, all the things that I need. That it works for me.
Mm-hmm.
I I'm sure there's a ton that I'm not utilizing, but you know, I keep chipping away at it. I'm making progress, but at least I've gotten to the point where, like I said, I'm not uh, bound to something, or I can get an idea down, and I can do the editing that I need to do. I can manipulate the track the way I want, and get the results that I'm shooting for.
There you go. How about live stream performances? Have you been doing any of that? Have you been going live on your social media at all?
I haven't,
No.
like I said, I kind of, when this all transpired, I know I see a lot of people doing it. Um, just for me, I don't really care for the quality of the sound of it.
Yep.
But even besides that, it's like I know people. Yeah, I mean, it's great that people are doing it. I'm just not. I don't. I'm not feeling it at the moment. Like I said, I kind of like. It's been nice to just step away and have that moment. This is the downtime after years of running around. I mean, years.
Yeah, and you have been doing it for a long time, man, and doing it at a high level, man. And thank you so
Thanks.
much for all your music, Peter. You've gotten me through some good times, some bad times, some partying times. I gotta make mention too is like my most favorite weekend ever was I spent a weekend with you and Eric and Ben, and we went to the blues cruise or whatever it was, a blues train
Train.
yeah, Cooperstown, and then we went to Camp Creek, and we consumed a lot of alcohol in those short
Oh
hours. And
goodness.
but man, that was one of the most epic weekends of my life, and I still talk about that weekend to this day. And thank you for all the great times throughout the years, man. We've had some great moments together, and thank you, man. I appreciate our friendship for sure.
No, thank you. Likewise, brother. It's all the great times at Electric Company, and you were always the best host, and much appreciated. I love you, brother.
It's funny,
Thanks for having me.
Eric's checking in right now. He says, "Yeah, I kind of remember that weekend. I know I woke up in some random tent, and you guys were gone, and
Yeah.
but
Well,
that was a great weekend."
right. We had the two gigs back to back, and the one, yeah. I mean, we did the one, but by the second one, we were
Toast.
all toasty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fun, man.
Good times.
Promote all your social media tags and where people could check out your new single.
Well, it's everything from Spotify and Amazon, and it's going through CD Baby, so they're pushing it through all the platforms
Mm-hmm.
that you can find it. And the link is certainly at my site, peterprincemusic.com. It's all there.
It's all there. The whole discography.
Yep. Yeah.
The whole discography. That's awesome. Or did you have him? Yeah. Sorry, bro. I had somebody at the door, actually. You let yourself in. Beautiful. Awesome. Anyways, Peter, thank you so much for doing this with me, man. It was great to catch up with you. I've got so much love for you. And maybe one of these days when we get off this Corona coaster, we can get together. You could perform for us like you did a couple years ago at our little party that we had back a couple summers ago. And we had a great time that night being at the old electric company and hanging out with all our friends and stuff. So hopefully we can get back to that really soon and hang out like the old days. Well, not like the old days. We'll hang out, but not like the old days. Much love, much respect.
Love you, brother.
Love you too. And if you release anything, please use my platform. Let's do this again. If you got any new material out there, please come on, man. I encourage it. I encourage all the musicians out there to please use my platform no matter where you are. So please do.
1,000 thank yous, brother. Thank you.
Thank you to my sponsors, the EJ8 Moving Services, Saranac Brewery, Utica Coffee, and attorney Dave Longretta. And also thank you to everybody out there that's been voting for us in the Syracuse Area Music Awards. You can go to syracuseareamusic.com, vote for Disruption Network, Local Music Monday under the live streaming category. And we're in the Final Four. We're the home stretch, baby. We are at the home stretch. Uh-oh, what do you got? What you got? It's the moon? Shooting the moon, baby. Shooting the moon. I love it. But thank you to everybody that has been voting and continue to vote. You can vote every day. So SyracuseAreaMusic.com, Disruption Network, live streaming event category. And I will see you tomorrow. Thank you again, Peter, man. Check them out, PeterPrinceMusic.com. I'll see you tomorrow. Later.